It's been over 16 years since the first Psychonauts came out in April 2005. And just shy of 6 years since Psychonauts 2 was revealed at the Game Awards in December 2015. We've been waiting through crowdfunding, console generations, the acquisition of Double Fine by Microsoft, and many more things that gently nudged this much anticipated sequel back. Does Psychonauts 2 live up to the 6 years of hype that's gone into it?
Does that make anyone else a little nervous?
Or does this bombastic second act fail to stick the landing? Find out in our review.
Get ready, Rasputin.
Hey folks, before we get started, if you enjoy this review, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. It's 3 small clicks for you, but means the world to us. Let's get started. When we last left off in the Psychonauts franchise, Rasputin, Raz Aquato, a circus acrobat with the gift of psychic powers, ran away from his family's troupe to join a camp hosted by the Psychonauts, an organization of secret agents utilizing their psychic power to keep the world safe. The Psychonauts Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp was a place for children to learn to control their powers and perhaps one day become a Psychonaut themselves. Unfortunately, the experience was soured for Raz when one of the Psychonauts, KOTOR Lander, hatched a plan to steal brains and take over the world. Raz made friends with the other campers to stop him, proving his worth, and soon after, engaged in an impromptu mission to rescue the head of the Psychonauts, Truman Zanato, from the maniacal unlicensed dentist turned amateur brain surgeon, Dr. Lovato.
Did you even brush before you came in here today? Honestly, it's a mess in there.
He and the other agents were successful in their mission, and Psychonauts 2 picks up right where they left off, literally a few days after the events of both the original game and its VR follow-up, Psychonauts and Rhombus of Ruin. The good news here is that you don't have to worry about playing those games to get started on Psychonauts. Double Fine included a very good previously on section to get you caught up with the story whether you've played Psychonauts or not. Not to mention the animated sequence is a great lead-in and reintroduction to Psychonauts' trademark quirk and charm. The important thing is that Raz and the other Psychonauts agree that a crackpot like Dr. Lovato couldn't have captured the head of the organization on his own. He had to have had help, and for someone as important as Zanato, that help would be on the inside. It's an uncomfortable realization that one of the characters you know or will come to know is a mole.
There's a mole in the Psychonauts.
If you think this is a mole, you're dumber than you look.
Moreover, Rasputin's digging around inside Lovato's head warns him of a terrifying presence known as Maligula. She was a powerful psychic that was once a threat to both the Psychonauts and the world, whom was fought and thought killed. She might be gone, but her terrifying presence lives on, and it seems someone is trying to bring her back.
Necromancy.
What?
They're trying to bring her back to life?
That sets up the 2 main leads of Psychonauts 2, which are finding the traitor within the organization and investigating and stopping the possible return of Maligula. It makes for a very compelling arc throughout all of the game, even as Rasputin is officially accepted into the Psychonauts organization as an intern and seeks to become a full-fledged Psycho secret agent.
Why do I feel like I'm gonna end up naked in a closet again?
There were characters I wanted the traitor to be, characters I was worried about it might be, and the game kept me guessing for quite some time throughout. All of this is well aided by a stellar soundtrack full of James Bond style guitar, and plenty more variety for whatever situation you happen to be caught up in. The snappy and well delivered dialogue also brings energetic and cartoonish life to the whole thing.
Ooh, is that honey pepper boar bacon? Oh, I haven't had that since my days back at headquarters?
Right up to the end, the finish is quite well handled, with the exception of a few details that felt shoehorned in. This game goes out of its way to answer nearly every loose end that has remained since the first game, which is great for the most part. If it ended here, it would be a good franchise bookend, but it also feels like there's room for further games or material based on some of the post-game conversations. Psychonauts 2 is more than just a good story. It's an action platformer with a lot of versatility due to its very premise alone. There's an overworld in which you can explore and move the plot along. However, returning from the first game, Psychonauts 2 is full of levels in which you dive into the minds of various characters in the game to discover information or sort out their problems. They offer some of the most interesting scenery and varied interaction as you solve each character's mental gauntlet.
Our Lady of Restraint Neurological Hospital. I think Hollis said she was an intern here once.
I think one of my least favorite parts of the first Psychonauts was how finicky the controls could be sometimes. 3D platforming often has this problem with feedback and context, but I think they really nailed it down in Psychonauts 2 for the most part. Raz is a circus boy with psychic powers. He can do a lot to move around the environment, including double jumps, floating, ledge climbs, tightrope walking, trapeze swinging, and more.
You think you even remember how to be an acrobat?
You'll see.
Much of the game's level layouts are also smartly designed to give you a generous or just barely enough amount of leeway to get past obstacles. Generally, it knows what you're trying to do and magnetizes toward an interaction like a ledge grab or rope swing automatically, which I highly appreciate. I only occasionally had moments in which I felt I put in the right moves, only for Raz to plummet to his death. But the only punishment for this is losing a minuscule amount of life and trying again. That's also a nice thing.
Maybe I can catch up to her this way.
Then there's the psychic powers. You're a psychonaut after all. Much of Raz's powers return intact from the first game, including levitation for double jumps slowing a fall and faster ground movement, pyrokinesis, telekinesis, psyblast, and clairvoyance. Joining these powers are some really fun new ones, such as mental connection. This one allows you to locate hanging scattered thought points in the overworld and in brain levels, and zip between them to reach otherwise unreachable places. Time Bubble is also awesome. In exploration, it can slow fast-moving obstacles to make them traversable, such as spinning fans. In combat, it can also slow foes and open them up to attacks, so it's a great utility ability. As you go, you'll also collect upgrades for your Psychonaut rank that give you points to spend on power upgrades. So your whole arsenal becomes an increasingly evolving toolkit.
There's so much cool stuff in there. I'll come back later for the rest of it.
Speaking of combat, Psychonauts 2's brain levels are chock full of foes you must contend with. I wouldn't say the game is big or flashy on combat, but it does make you utilize your powers effectively. Telekinesis is great on sensors because it stuns them temporarily. Psyblast is great on regrets because they're flying around and hard to hit otherwise. Each enemy has a weakness associated with defeating them the easiest way, and dealing with swarms of different foes will have you changing your powers regularly to overcome them. I think that's another interesting win for Psychonauts 2, is that it makes many of your powers feel useful throughout the game. There were, of course, some powers, like levitation, that I would never unequip, but you can only have 4 powers equipped at a time for ready use, and I would find myself moving through them all frequently in both combat and exploration. Nothing fell by the wayside outside of its introduction and level in which it was used the most.
Mind stepping aside, buddy? This is an emergency.
Each level in the overworld contain a wealth of collectibles that will upgrade your Psychonaut's rank and give expanded looks on the story. That means not only exploring levels to the fullest, but also going back to older levels and areas with powers and abilities you didn't have before is encouraged. Even so, it can feel a bit of a tedious collectathon if you want to 100% the game. I really praise Double Fine for the level design too. The brain levels are incredible in how they challenge you to use most of your powers in platforming, not to mention just being utterly compelling to explore. Not to spoil anything, but I think one of my absolute favorites was a brain level that I can only describe as if the Beatles animated film, The Yellow Submarine, was a Psychonauts level.
Look, fellas, it's Lisa in the sky.
No diamonds, though.
Look out for the campy drawing of Queen Victoria!
Oh, of God, help us!
us!
Each level challenges you in extremely interesting ways to utilize what you have and overcome its unique gauntlet, but they also serve as a drapery for some of the funniest, most emotional, and outright darkest moments the game has to offer. I won't lie, the new set of brain levels made me laugh, cry, and twisted my guts with realization at some key points.
Anything but this.
It's time for...
I also finally have to give props to accessibility here. Psychonauts 2 lets you adjust its difficulty by degrees with modular options like invincibility, no fall damage, and easy combat. But it also has handy features like a colorblind mode, font adjuster, UI adjuster, camera shake, and vibration disable options. It's not the most I've ever seen in accessibility for a game, but it feels clear that Double Fine and Microsoft wanted to make sure a wide audience could enjoy the game however they wanted. All in all, with everything above, I'd say there's a good reason to check it out and adjust it to your liking.
Don't listen to him, Sonny. Come talk to me if you want some true wisdom.
It's wild to think how many years of development are here in this game. It's both undeniably polished and top to bottom good gaming. The dialogue is well written and delivered, the story is riveting throughout, and the use of platforming and powers to traverse a vast variety of funny, ridiculous, and sometimes disturbing mental worlds is fantastically solid. It feels like the doors are open for more in this universe, and that prospect is exciting. But if there isn't another Psychonauts game ever, then I feel confident in saying Double Fine did right by the series with Psychonauts 2. Hey folks, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. It's 3 small clicks for you, but means the world to us. For more video reviews and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.